I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Thursday, July the 18th, brought to you in part by the VITALIX Corporation since 1967. Sacrifice, integrity, hard work, determination, traditional family values, fiscal responsibility, and environmental stewardship undergird everything that they do. For more information, go to y-tex.com. Outside the yard, and I'm talking about the amount of cattle that are outside the feed yard. If you remember, a year ago, we were under dry conditions in many areas, and we saw big numbers of cattle on feed, and we said, well, I guess that could be true because there's nowhere else for cattle to be. There's very few places to put them, because even if there is some grass, there's not enough water to sustain the cattle, and just drought conditions everywhere, and the cattle aren't anywhere else, and even light cattle weighing under 6, they're putting them right into the yard, and that's why we're seeing these big cattle on feed numbers. Well, Friday or tomorrow, we've got a cattle on feed report, and it's saying that we're going to have 1.2% more cattle on feed than we did this time a year ago, and we know that we've got less calves. So what gives? It doesn't add up, and I've talked to several people about that on Wednesday. Since we got our cattle on feed estimates, but that's the average of the analyst guess is 101.2. I don't know. I would sure make me feel better to see something come in less than 100. But we've got our placement set at 97. Of course, there's a big range in what the analysts thought it might be. But, our people, and whenever it does come out, I want to see how many cattle weighing under 6 are supposedly in a lot, in a feed lot. And are you going to give $3 and something for them and bypass the opportunity to put cheap pounds on them on plentiful grazing? I just don't think so. I don't think that adds up. But, we'll just have to see whenever the report comes out on Friday. I do think we have opportunity for it to be a bullish report. We've got opportunity in the marketings. The average of the analyst guess is only 91.8. And yes, there was 2 less days of slaughter there, but, our slaughter's been down, but not that much down, and we've had a lot less cows and bulls being slaughtered, so we're not off that much on the steers and heifers. But I don't know, I think those models are getting old, kind of like the old Dodge pickups. They said the jigs were getting so old you couldn't slam the door on them as they come off the factory floor. And I think that's the way these models are getting, is they've gotten so old and they haven't been updated, and those so-called people that really know what's going on, those analysts, are so out of touch with what's going on. But the hell of it is, it's official once it comes out, and it's kind of like City Hall. It's hard to argue with them. But your cattle started trading in the Southern Plains at steady money, and the board thought that was a victory, and so it shot up after they started selling cattle at steady prices. Every week it seems like the Southern Plains starts puking their cattle at whatever they can get middle of the week, and the Northern Plains holds out till the end of the week and gets something better or close to higher, and that's just kind of the way it is. And we continue to see this $10 premium being paid in the Northern Plains, but the board is all about the Southern Plains. And you know how frustrated I get with the board. Of course, some of those Southern guys are basis jumpers. They saw mostly $4 basis there because August live cattle are trading so far behind what the cash price is. They think, well, shoot, I'm going to jump at that, and that's like us getting, $192 for the cattle, when we're probably going to see the Northern Plains get $198 for cattle. But talking about the CME group is asking for their customers to fill out a questionnaire, and it's going to be a survey on what they can do better with the live cattle contract. And if any of you guys have any ideas about what maybe they could do to help the live cattle contract, well, maybe they could do something for the long position. Everybody's shorting. The whole industry's shorting, and then all your speculators short too, because it's so much easier to trip that thing lower than it is higher. We need something to entice the long positions to hold in there for a little bit longer. And I've told you guys time and time again, I believe if the long positions could demand delivery of the cattle whenever we're getting into the contract month, that would sure bring things back up. Just like whenever you threaten delivery, it pulls it back down. But I know there's a lot of the smaller and regional top packers that would come in, buy those cattle when they're trading, $4, $5, $6, $8 back of what cash is. Buy the cattle, have them deliver them to them, and then they could enjoy those cattle at a cheaper price. But as they bought those contracts, it would pull the market up a little bit, and boy, would that be nice to have a little support on the downside. But if you get an opportunity to fill out that questionnaire, please do so, and please let them know that you're not happy with where that live cattle contract is at right now, and you're not happy with it not coming together, no convergence, even whenever it matures. So that's what we really need to get there. Even though a big part of the industry loves the basis is our own worst enemy, because we can't ever get or maintain a higher cash market if everybody keeps jumping at the basis like they do. I want to tell you something else. Carrie Stadheim, that is the editor of Tri-State Livestock News, and that is the Bible in the Northern Plains and the Midwest as far as auction markets, and they do a good job, and they have tons of ads in there for auction markets, all over the Dakotas and Nebraska and Iowa and Missouri. It's kind of like the Cattleman's Bible, similar to the way Livestock Weekly is down in Texas and New Mexico and places like that. But Carrie is the editor of that publication, and she had a tragedy in her family. A young daughter, a little girl that got killed in a farming accident there at the family farm. And Herman Schumacher has bought those Hereford calves from that family for many years, and he is bringing one of those calves back into Faith, South Dakota, Faith Livestock there on Monday. And at 1 p.m. they are going to have a rollover sale for that calf that Herman's bringing back in. And if you appreciate the work she does, if you like that family, or maybe you just think that you're really lucky and you hate it when you hear a tragedy like that in our industry, we encourage you to become active on that rollover sale that is going to be Monday at 1 at Faith, South Dakota Livestock Auction. Let's talk about your board on Wednesday. August live cattle futures up $1.60 at 184.27. Your October contract up $1.05 at 185.57. Back months were all higher, 72 to 87 cents higher, and that's a pretty good gain there in your live cattle pits. August feeder cattle down just 7 cents at 258.55. September was up 2 cents at 259.55, and really not much reason to even trade feeder cattle on Wednesday because they didn't do anything. All your back months were up from 15 cents to 75 cents, but really a nothing day in your feeder cattle contracts. Now December corn was up 1/4 cent a bushel is all at 3.98 1/4. November beans up 1 cent at 10.42. Kansas City hard red winter wheat up 3 cents a bushel at 5.64. Your fat cattle trade didn't really see too much in the Northern Plains at all. We did see one load trade in Iowa at 196, which should be at the bottom or just below the bottom of last week's trade. But like I said, it was only a load of cattle. Not sure why they traded that way, why anybody would do that, but it sure didn't set the market in any way. They're going to trade steady to higher up there, I do believe. Nebraska didn't trade any cattle on Wednesday and haven't really traded anything so far this week. Kansas sold 5,100 already, from 187 to 188, and considerable 187, so you have to quote that as weak, even though they're cashing in on that $4 basis. Texas 2,200 on Wednesday at 188. We did have a fat cattle auction in the Northern Plains at Sioux Falls Regional Livestock in Worthing, South Dakota. It's a DV auction broadcaster. They had a lighter run. They had a big run of fat cattle the previous week, but this week is a lighter run there. And the conventional cattle, just like the market, direct market last week, it was lower, from $1 to $5 lower. Conventional fat cattle, though, sold from $193.5 to $199.50, which that would be pretty good. And some program cattle a little higher than that, as high as $199.75. They had dairy steers trade from $163 to $170.50, and crossbreds from $188 to $193. So pretty good fat cattle auction there in Worthing, South Dakota. Let's talk about your box beef cutout values, which were lower again. Can't seem to put any feet under this box beef cutout report, but they did have significant volume at the lower levels, so maybe that will prop things up a little bit. Choice cuts were down 110 at 318.16. Selects down 315 at 298.44. Your slaughter up through the first 3 days of this week, 360,000 estimated slaughter. That is 6,000 better or heavier than the previous week, but 9,000 less than the same week a year ago, which is not as much behind a year ago as we've been running here for the last several months. So they're wanting to step it up a little bit. Talk about what else is going on. We're about halfway through the month to our Punchy Pick of the Month winner. Be sure and get your Punchy Pick in. You can, if you take that with your cell phone, which is what most people do, you can email that picture to punchy@nationalbeefwire.com. Of course, the grand prize winner of the Punchy Pick every month gets a huge box full of all kinds of neat things from Beaver Feed Company in Beaver, Oklahoma, Beaver County Stockyards in Beaver, Oklahoma, National Beef Wire, Feeder Flash, a lot of neat swag there. But the best part of that grand prize is that whole case of Fair-Peace, which is a revolutionary product that's scientifically proven. Pay attention to the video that I will attach to the end of this Feeder Flash episode. Find out more about Fair-Peace. Let's talk about your feeder cattle market, your real-time index on DV auction at the end of Wednesday's trading there, based on an 800-pound cash auction steer up through your middle 12 states, just like your CME index. It was sitting at 254.47, down 166. Now your CME feeder cattle index quote is dropping, but it's not dropping very fast at 261.32, latest available there. Look at your big sales on Wednesday. OKC West, El Reno, Oklahoma had 6,600 head for the 2-day sale with calves on Tuesday. Feeder steers were mostly steady to $1 higher. Feeder heifers $3 to $6 higher, but in a very light test. Calves on Tuesday sold steady to firm, but a pretty impressive quote come out of there that I saw. It was 70 steers weighed 748 and bring 282. That's pretty swift right there. Your National Beef Wire stick-out sale of the day come out of Stockman's Livestock Market in Yankton, South Dakota. We talk about them all the time because they have such a good fat cattle auction, but when they have one of their big feeder sales, it's as good or better than anywhere else. They have recently added DV auction broadcasting, so you can view and bid all of their sales on DV auction now. But check out this automated market report through Cattle Market Central and look at your best tested weights, which are very impressive throughout. About 388 steers weighed 6-weight steers, averaged 650 pounds with a weighted average price of $316.59. There were 312 7-weight steers. They averaged $745 at $280.68. 623 steers in the 8-weight category averaged $852 at $255.34. And 1,422 head of 9-weight steers averaged $967 at $242.52. How about some heifers? 322 head of 7-weight heifers averaged $749 at $254.21. 354 head of 8-weight heifers averaged $829 at $241.28. And 194 head of 9-weight heifers averaged 936 pounds with a weighted average price of $227.72. Give you some individual quotes from all around the circuit. How about a market that we don't talk about very often, but it's near and dear to my heart? 5 States Livestock there in Clayton, New Mexico, northeastern New Mexico. That is the market that my grandfather, Cordell Wall, built with his own 2 hands over 75 years ago. They're still running. I saw the current manager, Kenny Dillinger, in Oklahoma City here a few weeks ago and enjoyed kind of catching up with him a little bit. But at 5 States Livestock in Clayton, New Mexico on Wednesday, they sold 71 steers, weighed 778 at $258.75, and that ain't nothing to sneeze at, people. How about Platte Livestock Market in Platte, South Dakota? These were heifers, and I assume they will be replacement heifers, but I don't know that for a fact. But I do know that they sold 85 heifers, weighed 598, and bring 309 and a quarter. How about Albion Livestock in Albion, Nebraska? These were lot backgrounded steers. 53 of them weighed 933 and bring 261.50. Wow. But the most impressive quote that I saw anywhere on Wednesday, your Macrocin No BS top quote for the day, come out of Parsons Livestock in Parsons, Kansas. Big long string of steers came right off the blue stem and bring more than you could have got in the country. These were green steers here, come right in from the Flint Hills pasture. 259 head of them, weighed 810 pounds and bring 267.50. And that's your feeder flash for Thursday.